Well, good morning, and thank you so much for joining me on the yoga mat this morning. This week's focus is on those lovely happy hips. So we're going to create both mobility and strength. So we'll first kind of get into a few little mobilizers just to kind of open up into the joints and kind of work into the muscles around the joints. And then hopefully with that mobility, we'll be able to engage a little bit more as the class goes on this morning. So again, just being really conscious of where the hips are at. If they are very tight, not forcing them. So just be very mindful, particularly if one side is tighter than the other, not forcing one side to do what the other side just did. So, but listening to those imbalances and trying to paint a little picture in the body as to what might be causing that imbalance. And again, it could be just how you slept. It could have been how you were seated yesterday at work, or it could be something that's ongoing. So it's just kind of really kind of tuning in and listening to the body. Because if there are any little instabilities or imbalances within the hips, chances are we're going to find those imbalances down through both the legs and up into the spine. So it is really important to listen to those hips this morning. If the hips are tight, then it's really hard to engage with all the other muscles that adjoin that hip complex. So just kind of bearing that in mind as well. So if maybe the hamstrings are continually feeling tight, maybe start looking at those hips and what's going on in there as well. So we're going to start in a nice easy cross-legged seat. And again, if cross-legged isn't easy for you, if you find the knees are right up here and you're actually creating more tension in the hips than releasing, then you can always get a couple of cushions, a couple of pillows, and just support the legs here so that you can actually relax into the pose. So it is really important that you make the pose as easy as you can. We're going to rest the palms down on the knees, and we'll relax the shoulders back, finding a little bit of space into the heart. See if we can find a little bit more length into the spine as we grow tall toward the ceiling. Relax the shoulders and just notice where the breath is at this morning. Notice if it's caught up in the chest and see if we can sink it a little bit deeper down into the belly. And as we do that, just feel the body melt a little bit more. Softly in and out through the nose. Again, feel free to sigh the breath out if it feels that you get a little bit more release. We're going to inhale, press the chest all the way over to the right as we fold through center, all the way over to the left. And as we exhale, tuck the chin, we're going to round between the shoulders and continue with your own breath. So nice full circles. Maybe close down the eyes and just really engage with the movement. So we're pressing the heels of the hands into the legs to draw ourselves a little bit further forward. Maybe press yourselves a little bit further back. Pressing ourselves out to the side, see if we can lengthen a little bit more into the side waist and get right down into those hips. And relax the head and neck, allow the head and neck move freely with the movement, even allow the weight of the head maybe bring us a little bit deeper into those circles. So each circle gets a little bit larger, a little bit easier. So try to iron out any restrictions to the movement. So really just relaxing into the body here. There's no real right or wrong. Relax the breath. We're going to meet back at center and we're going to reverse the crisscross of the legs, just balancing out those hips, rest the palms, and we'll inhale, press the chest off to the left, through center, all the way over to the right as we exhale, tuck the chin and round and continue. Again, nice, full, deep circles. And again, still feel free to sigh the breath if you feel that you get more release. So really just wakening up, opening up into the body here. Rolling into the shoulders, the elbows, the wrists, the head, the neck. Notice how it feels as we change direction. Even as we change that crisscross of the legs. And then we meet back at center seat. We're going to open the palms to the ceiling. And then inhale both arms out, reaching up. Interlock fingers, press palms to ceiling. As we exhale, press the palms forward and really stretch between the shoulder blades. And we'll do that 2 more times. So nice big stretch. And release. Once more. Lovely. We're going to stretch both legs out in front, just adjust the sit bones, get nice and comfortable here. Drawing the toes toward the face, we're sitting nice and tall into the spine. We're going to hug the right knee in until the foot's in line with the left. And we'll shift the sit bones forward to meet that heel. So maintaining that lovely leg. We're going to cross the right leg over the left. Extend the left arm forward, really wrap it around the right leg and hug that leg tight into the body till we feel the right glute release. If you want to go further, you can bend the left knee. Tuck the heel close to the sit bone, but just make sure that right sit bone is firmly grounded. We're going to inhale the right arm up, reach. And as we exhale, gently twist to the right as far as we can and then place that right hand on the ground behind us. Drawing the right shoulder back, we're looking over the shoulder. See if we can draw both shoulders away from the ears, so creating a little bit of space into the neck and all the time hugging that right leg in. Maybe walk the fingertips around the back and see if we can draw that shoulder back a little bit more. So every inhale, pressing that right hand into the ground as we lengthen through the spine. And every exhale, twist a little bit more. Nice full deep belly breaths here, and use that belly breath to create a little bit more space into the whole torso of the body. And as we exhale, we're just working into that space we've created. We'll take 2 more breaths here. And then inhale gently back through center, a little twist to the left just to release, and then back to center again. If that left heel is tucked in, we're going to walk the left foot out to the right foot as far out to the left as we can until we can get those knees as close to stacked as possible. Otherwise, you're coming into easy cross-legged with the right leg out front. So, like so. And if we're in our spaghetti string, we're going to draw those toes toward the knees. And either way, see if we can really grind through those sit bones. So maybe shift the sit bones a little bit side to side. And we can stay here, just enjoying that space. If we want to work into a fold, we're going to inhale both arms out, reaching up. And as we exhale, gently folding over that right leg. We're reaching, stretching, and then resting the hands. We're going to press the ground away and really draw those sit bones back. Relax the head and neck. You can just tuck the chin slightly and notice how that feels into the whole posterior chain of the body. Pressing the ground away, really drawing those sit bones back. As we inhale, lengthen forward through the spine. And as we exhale, fold a little bit deeper. So we're inhaling, lengthening. We're exhaling, folding. We'll take 2 more breaths here. 1 more. Gently tuck the chin, slowly walk the hands back toward the body. We're going to bring the right foot out front and we bring that left foot out to meet it. So feet are wider than hip width distance apart, so about the width of the mat apart. We're going to bring the hands behind us. Fingertips point back. We're pressing into the ground. We're opening into the heart. And we'll inhale here at center. And as we exhale, drop the knees over to the right as we look over the left shoulder. Inhale back through center. Exhale, knees drop to the left as we look over the right shoulder. And continue with your own breath, making sure those hands are nice and close to the lower body so we're not collapsing into those arm and shoulder joints. Keeping that nice open heart. We're looking over the opposite shoulder, so we're getting a nice little spinal twist here. And try to draw those knees as close to the ground, if not all the way to the ground. So feet are really wide, so we should need to move those feet. Lots of space for those knees to fall. And if we want a little bit more core engagement, we could bring the hands to the heart. So we're taking the support of the arms out of the movement. Still looking over the opposite shoulder, still maintaining that lovely length into the spine. We might start to find those sit bones are shifting us forward. You can always drive those heels a little bit more into the ground, almost like we're putting on the brakes, or just go with the flow. Next time we drop the knees over to the right, we're going to pause and we can shift our way back onto the mat if we have come too far forward. Lovely 90-degree angles with the legs here. At the ankle, at the knee, at the hip, both front and back. We're going to bring the hands to heart center. So we've got a little bit of movement here. As we inhale, we're going to bring that left leg all the way out front, pressing through the heel. Try to maintain that nice long spine. And as we exhale, we're going to bring the left foot all the way behind us and we're going to reach those hands forward out in front. Inhale, left leg out front. Exhale out to the back as we stretch those fingertips forward. You're going to continue here with your own breath. Try not to touch the foot down if you can. Really press back through that left foot behind. Try to create a little bit more space into the front of the left hip. Just notice how that feels. And you can slow this right down, even slower than the breath. And we're going to meet back at center. We're going to bring that left foot out front. If you have a block or a block-like object, we're going to put it out front. At any level, the higher, obviously, the trickier it's going to be. We can bring those hands back to heart center. If you do find you're collapsing a lot, you can bring the hands behind you. Okay, so either a little bit of extra core or a little bit of extra support. Yeah, we're going to start to the left of the block or the block object. And we're going to lift that left foot all the way over to the right. Float it off the ground if you can, and then all the way back to the left. So inhale all the way over to the right. Exhale back to the left. We do that twice more. And this is really good for the hip mobility, but also strength. You're going to find that into both the abductors, the adductors. You're going to find that into the front of the quads and up near the hip flexor. Excellent. And relax. We can just take a little stretch forward. Lovely. And then we can remove the block off to the side. We're going to bend the left knee in, and then we're going to bring the left foot out to the front, right foot out to meet it. Excellent. And then we'll straighten both legs. Give them a little shake, a little bit of blood flow back into those hips. We're going to hug the left knee in until the foot's in line with the right. Shift the sit bones forward to meet that heel. And then we're going to cross the left leg over the right. Extend the right arm forward. We're going to wrap it around the left leg and hug it nice and tight into the body. If we wish to go further, we can bend the right knee, tuck the heel, but again, just make sure that left sit bone is firmly grounded. And we'll inhale the left arm up, reach. And as we exhale, gently twist to the left. We're going to place the hand on the ground behind us. Work that left shoulder back. Looking over the shoulder, we're pressing the left hand into the ground, create a wee bit more length into the spine. And as we exhale, work a little bit deeper into our twist. Still hugging that left leg in all the time. Feel that release into the glute. Particularly after the last little sequence, this should feel quite nice. Lengthening and releasing. And visualizing the spine here. As we release into the spine, we're starting that twist in the lower spine. And we're working it all the way up through to the neck. Nice full belly breath. So one more here. And then inhale gently back through center, a little twist to the right, just to release it and back to center again. Again, if the right heel is tucked in, we're going to walk the left foot out to the right foot out to the left, as far as we can, or otherwise we can come into easy cross-legged with the left leg on top, trying to get those knees as close to stacked as possible without forcing the hips. Draw the toes toward the knees, and again, either pose, just shifting a little bit into the hips and just notice how that feels. So really grinding those sit bones to the earth. And we can stay here, just enjoying that space. If you wish to fold, we're going to inhale both arms out, reaching up. And as we exhale, gently fold over the left knee. Reaching, reaching, reaching. Rest the palms. Press the ground away, really draw those sit bones back. Relax the head, relax the neck. And you'll actually find, just as you release the head and neck, you'll find that right down into the hips and into the lower back. So just that even slight tuck of the chin. Notice how that feels. Actively press on the ground away. As we inhale, we're lengthening forward through the spine. And as we exhale, fold and sink a little bit deeper. Relax with that exhale. 2 more breaths. Once more. And then gently tuck the chin. Slowly walk the hands back toward the body. We're going to bring the left foot out front and we'll bring that right foot out to meet it. So again, feet are width of the mat apart. So nice and wide. Hands go behind us, fingertips point back. We're pressing into the ground. We're opening into the heart. And we'll inhale here. And as we exhale, drop the knees to the right as we look over the left shoulder. Inhale back through center. Exhale, knees to the left as we look over the right shoulder. And continue with your own breath. Again, feet are wide enough apart that the opposite knee has loads of space to fall behind the opposite foot. We're looking over the opposite shoulder. Keeping that lovely heart space, nice strong arms and shoulders. Again, if you want a little bit more into the core, we can bring those hands to heart center. really engaging with those core muscles. Find that length into the spine, drawing that belly button in toward the spine. Really finding that mobility. As we drop the knees over to the left, we're going to pause. Again, we can shift away back onto the mat if we've come off it. Adjusting those legs, so we've got lovely 90-degree angles. And again, maybe just pressing the ground away either side of that left leg so that we can really find our center here and we're not collapsing over to the left. We're going to bring the hands to heart. And again, if we find we need a bit more stability, you can keep the hands on the ground. Lovely. We're going to inhale, bring that right leg out in front, pressing away through the heel. And as we exhale, bend the right knee, we're going to bring the right foot behind us, and then we're going to stretch those arms forward and really press back through that right foot. Inhale, right leg out front. Exhale, behind as we reach forward. Continue with your own breath. Keeping the gaze forward. Try not to collapse into the spine. Again, it is a little bit tricky. The real focus is that mobilization of the right hip, but do try to keep that core engagement if we can. Try not to touch the foot down, but if you do, just ever so lightly. And notice how this feels compared to the other side. Notice if we've got a little bit more movement, a little bit more strength. We're going to do one more and we're going to meet with that right leg out front. And we could rest the foot. Again, reaching for a block or cushion or ball, a stack of books, whatever you have. We're going to place them to the center, to the front of our mat there. And again, depending on the height, the higher, the more range that we're going to try to achieve, the lower. So you can always start with lower and build to higher, see how you're going. So again, hands to heart or hands on the ground beside us, straightening that right leg. We're going to inhale, starting on the right side. We're going to inhale the right leg all the way over to the left. Try not to touch down. And then exhale all the way back to the start. Continue with your own breath. Again, try and maintain that lovely length with the spine. So the focus is on that hip mobility, but we're always trying to engage with those core muscles as we work into the hips. So the hips are very much a part of our core complex. They all work together, supporting each other. So again, if we're collapsing into the core, we're not going to get as much control of that hip complex. Notice how that feels compared to the other side. It's a little bit more restricted. It's a little bit harder to lift that leg. We'll do one more. Oh, and relax. And we can release the block off to the side. We're going to hug the right knee in, and then we're going to place that right foot out front, left foot out to meet it. And then from here on our mats, we're going to lie back. Just make sure that you have your strap and your block there beside you within reach in case we need it. So lowering ourselves slowly down onto the ground. Knees are bent. We're going to hug the right knee in, and then we're going to straighten out through the left leg. Really try to press the back of that left hamstring to the ground and really hugging that right knee into the chest. Right hand stays in the knee, left hand placed in the left hip bone. And we'll draw a few little circles into that right hip. Nice and easy. Either direction, we'll end up doing both. Maybe the fingertips come to the knee so those circles can get a little bit larger. And if the right hip feels good and stable on its own, you can always bring the right hand to the ground and draw those circles a little bit larger once again. But again, only if the hip feels stable. So if you feel by placing the hand on the ground, all of a sudden that hip has gone into spasm, it feels really tense, you're not able to relax into the movement, just take that right hand and guide the movement, guide that hip movement. And then maybe over time, when the hip feels good on its own, then bring that hand to the ground. So don't be afraid to support a movement until it feels supported and stable on its own. Relax the breath, relax the shoulders. Notice if we're tensing into the chest muscles, really melting those shoulder blades together on the ground. We're going to reverse the circle, opposite direction. And again, if that right hand is on the ground, try to bring the whole length of that right leg into the movements, or drawing the knee across the body into the chest, opening as wide as we can into that hip. Maybe straightening the leg, actively press away through the heel. And relax the breath. Notice if we're holding it. And again, if we're holding the breath, generally we're still going to be holding that tension into the hips, so it's going to be really hard to release with the movement. So just softly in and out through the nose. And then gently hugging the right knee in. We're going to place the left hand on the shin, extend the right arm out in line with the shoulder, palm down, and we'll shift the hips a little bit to the right, drawing the right leg across the body to the left. Left hand rests on the outer thigh. Notice if we're not fully into the twist, you can shift the hips ever so slightly to the right. Right hip stacks on top of left. And again, try to keep that knee up in line with the hip. Feel that nice release into the right glute. Really grounding that right shoulder as we look over toward the fingertips. And again, nice full deep belly breath. If you want to come into your pretzel twist, you can bend the left knee, walk the left foot a little bit further out to the right. We might even catch hold of the front of the foot, but still drawing that right shoulder down and still drawing that right leg across the body. Nice full deep belly breath. So if we have caught hold of the foot, we're going to feel a nice bonus release into the front of the left hip and quad. Relaxing on that exhale. 2 more breaths. One more. And release. Extend the arms back out. We'll straighten the left leg and then gently hugging that right knee back into the chest. Working a little bit deeper into psoas here. So right hand stays on the shin, left hand is on the hip. We're going to inhale, press the shin into the hand. And as we exhale, see if we can draw the right knee outside the line of the body. So working a little bit of hip stretch here. Keep it out there. We're going to inhale, press shin into hand. And as we exhale, maybe work it out a little bit more. So continuing to work that hip open. Again, we're working into our psoas muscle. So one of the only muscles that attaches both into the leg and the spine. It runs across into the hip complex. And when it gets tight, it can cause all sorts of eruptions within the body, particularly because it does have those 2 very important insertion points. So it doesn't feel like we're doing that much here, but we're just breathing into that space, creating a little bit of extra space without tugging the hip open. So all the action is on the inhale as we press the shin into the hand, and then we're just releasing on the exhale. Keeping that lower back pressed into the ground if you can. We'll take 1 more breath. And then inhale back to center. We're going to hug the left knee into the chest, and then we're going to straighten the right leg down to the ground, pressing the back of the leg into the ground. Right hand is on the hip, left hand is on the knee. Let's draw a few little circles into that left hip. Again, either direction, we'll end up doing both. Maybe the fingertips come to the knee and those circles can get a wee bit larger. And again, if the hip feels stable on its own, you can bring that left hand to the ground and draw those circles larger once again, bringing the whole length of that left leg into the movement. And you will notice from our previous little sequence where we were extending the leg out front and bringing it out behind us, we were working quite strongly into our upper quad and into our hip flexor. So you might find, oh, that's a little bit tighter than normal. So it's just that you've been engaging quite a lot already before this mobilization. So again, just enjoy that space that we're creating with those circles. But it is quite normal to be feeling that a little bit more than usual into the upper quad and hip flexor. And then we'll reverse those circles. Opposite direction, relax the shoulders, pressing that lower back into the ground, nice and active through that left leg. And again, notice how it feels comparing to the right side. Notice as we change direction how that feels. Do we have a little bit more resistance to the movement? So again, just really, really mindfully listening to what's going on in those hips. And sometimes it's just by slowing down the movements with these mobilizations that we can really, truly start to understand what's going on with our movement. And we're going to hug the left knee in, give it a nice little squeeze. Right hand rests on the shin, left arm extends out in line with the shoulder, palm faces down. We're going to shift the hips just a little bit to the left, and then we'll draw the left leg across the body to the right, looking over toward the left fingertips. The left shoulder is glued to the ground, right hand rests on the outer thigh. And again, notice if we feel a wee bit awkward in our twist, just shift the hips ever so slightly to the left. So ideally the left hip is stacked on top of the right hip and both hips are centered down the midline of our mat. Nice, full, deep belly breath. So as we inhale, create lots of space into the core. And as we exhale, twisting and releasing into that space. Again, if you wish to go in to your pretzel twist, you can bend the right knee, walk the right foot all the way out to the left. And we can stay here, that might be enough. We may reach to catch hold of the front of the foot, or maybe wrap a strap or a towel around the front of the foot as a little extension of that left arm. As we inhale, nice, full, deep belly breaths. And as we exhale, twist and release. Keep drawing that left shoulder down. Keep drawing that left leg across the body. One more breath. And then gently release. Extend the arms back out, straighten the leg, and slowly roll back onto our backs. Still hugging the left knee in. Left hand is on the shin, right hand is on the right hip. Again, notice if that right knee is bent. That possibly means that right hip flexor is particularly tight. So I want you to really consciously press the back of that hamstring toward the ground. As we inhale, press the shin into the hand. And as we exhale, allow that left hip open. Keep it out there. We're going to inhale, shin into hand, activate. And then exhale, release. Continue here with your own breath. So again, all the activation is on the inhale, and then we're just simply releasing into that space on the exhale, keeping the right hip grounded, keep the lower back grounded. Again, nice full deep belly breaths. And don't be afraid to play around with the placement of that knee, of that hip. I want you to really find that nice little sweet spot release here. We'll take one more breath. And then gently hugging the left knee back in. We'll hug the right knee into meet it. And then we're going to place both legs down to the ground. Keeping the knees together, we're going to walk those feet as far apart as we can, maybe to the outer edges of the mat. And just allow those knees fall to touch. Really pressing that lower back into the ground. And then we're going to place the arms out into cactus arms. So this in itself, without any movement at all, is a really nice release into your psoas muscle. So we're just actually going to hang out here for a little bit this morning. So it doesn't, again, feel like we're doing anything, but this is a really lovely way of releasing into the psoas. You're going to feel that pelvic release here as well. And I want you to just really focus on the breath. So relaxing the body so that we can really just release into that space. So trying to not hold any tension. Finding that belly breath. Visualizing the belly rise and fall. And again, so with our psoas, as I mentioned before, can cause a lot of physical issues within the body and muscular issues, but it can also, from a physiological point of view, if you've got a really tight psoas, and particularly for my runner friends here, if you find that when you start running and all of a sudden, like not too far into your run, you need to pee, that can often be a tight psoas as well. So when the psoas is really tight, it can put pressure on all of those organs within the abdominal cavity area. And that's including our urinary organs. So again, just to kind of bear that in mind. So if it is something that keeps happening, it mightn't be what you've drank or what you've eaten. It could actually be that your psoas is just very tight. And when you start running, it just starts to tighten up a little bit more, putting that extra bit of pressure. So not very relaxing there, sorry. But just a nice little bit of information to be mindful of in your runs. Or any sport really, but particularly for runners. Okay, I think we've hung out here enough. We're going to hug the knees into the armpits. So again, feet are apart, knees are apart, hips are open, hands are rested on the shins. We're going to inhale both shins into the hands, and as we exhale, see if we can open both hips a little bit more. So inhale, shins into hands. Exhale, open. Continue here with your own breath. Lower back is solid on the ground, so we're not rocking and rolling. And if you wish to come into your full happy baby, we can bring the soles of the feet parallel to the ceiling. Catching hold of calf shins, maybe ankles, maybe inner arches of the feet, or we can interlock middle and index finger around the big toes, but just make sure that lower back is flat on the ground. Try to get the soles of the feet parallel to the ceiling. If this is too much in the hamstrings, if it's pinching up near the sit bones, then you can drop the heels, but I prefer maybe bring those hands a little bit closer back to the knees. As we inhale, press soles of the feet toward the ceiling, and as we exhale, draw the knees down to the ground beside us. Keep the hips open. Inhale, press up, activate. Exhale, draw down, release. We'll take 3 more here. So it's a nice little pumping action up and down as opposed to inward and outward. Last one. Lovely. And then we draw those knees back into the chest. We're going to crisscross with the ankles. Options to make your way anyway to seat, or we can rock and roll just the once. Bringing ourselves into a nice strong seat, front of the mat. We're going to bring the hands forward out in front, shifting the body weight forward. And we'll step back onto the knees, finding ourselves into a lovely strong tabletop. Center of the mat, shoulders over, elbows over wrists, elbow creases face forward, knees are hip width apart, hips are stacked over knees. Toes can be tucked or untucked. Notice if the belly's collapsed, we're going to press into the ground, really draw that belly button in. Inhale, take the gaze forward and up as we arch through the spine. Exhale, press into the ground, curl through the spine, take the gaze back to the belly. Inhale, gaze goes forward and up, arching. Exhale, press into the ground, curl through the spine, tuck the chin to the chest. And continue with your own breath. Nice full circles. Front to back. Visualizing the spine like a string of beads, and we're drawing those beads apart. We try to create as much space and movement, energy, the whole length of the spine, and relax the breath. Feel free to sigh it out if it feels better. Any part of the movement that feels really restricted, do feel free to pause and take an extra couple of breaths into that space. And likewise, if you find a space that feels really nice, well, feel free to hang out there for a little bit longer and just really breathe into that space. So again, just finding your own movement within the pose. And try to just relax the body. We're going to meet back in our tabletop. We're going to walk the hands forward out in front, tuck both toes under, and we're going to gently sit back toward the heels, resting the forehead to the ground or to a block. Arms are really straight, and we're going to come up onto the finger pads. So arms are really active here, so we're not just relaxing into those elbows. As we inhale, lengthening, and as we exhale, see if we can sink the chest a little bit closer toward the ground. We need to really feel that energy between the shoulder blades. See if we can breathe a little bit deeper into the armpit space. Finding that into the rib cage, into the belly. And then we can relax the hands. We're going to look back between the toes, pressing hands and feet into the ground. We're going to lift those hips toward the ceiling and gently release those heels down toward the ground as far as they can go without forcing them. Looking back, either toward the knees, toward the belly, relax the head, relax the neck, lifting from those hips. We're going to gently paddle out the feet, allowing opposite heel melt softly toward the ground. And again, not forcing the heels down, but do notice if one side goes a little bit easier than the other. If you're finding those heels aren't coming down, you can always splay the feet out like little Charlie Chaplin feet, melting those heels onto the ground that way, and then maybe over time those feet become a little bit more parallel. Again, it's not the be all and end all. Once you're feeling that space, that movement, looking forward between the hands, we're going to gently walk away to the front of the mat. We'll come to a lovely wide legged forward fold. So bring those feet as wide apart as we need, that we can easily touch the ground in line with the big toes or touch or block. So just make sure the fingertips are either on the ground or a block-like object, or bring those feet a little bit further apart if you need. Left hand stays grounded in line with the big toes.
Weight is back into the heels and the hips. So see if we can lift those toes quite easy. We're going to inhale the right arm up and open. The heart gaze follows up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, left arm up and open. The heart gaze follows. Exhale, release. And continue with your own breath. Following that extended arm with the gaze, creating as much space into the chest, as much mobility into the spine. That hand that's on the ground or the block, we're pressing into the ground to give ourselves a little bit more leverage into the twist. Just really try and relax into the movement. Even allowing those arms go a little bit floppy as we exhale and fold. Feel free to sigh the breath out as we fold into that lower back space. Again, notice if you feel a little bit more range to the left, to the right. Find that release in the inner hip. We'll take one more both sides. Meeting in a nice relaxed forward fold. Allow the head, neck, arms, shoulders release. Take a nice deep breath in. Sigh it out. And then gently tuck the chin. We'll slowly, little by little, roll our way all the way up to stand. Here comes up last. We're going to do two of those feet toward each other. Meeting at the front of the mat. Feet nicely grounded, hip width distance apart. Hands to heart. Relax the shoulders. Drawing the belly in, lengthening tall through the spine. We're going to inhale here. And as we exhale, we're going to step the right foot back into lunge. We're going to bring the left foot parallel. So we're facing the side of the room. Splaying those feet out at about 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock. We're just really finding a nice stillness here, nice stability in those feet. We're going to inhale at center, and as we exhale, we're going to bend through the right knee. But as we bend the right knee, just make sure it's not falling inside that right big toe. So we're really engaging with that right hip. Inhale back to center. Exhale, bend through the left, and just make sure that knee is not falling inside that toe. So just be mindful of where that knee is. Continuing with your own breath. Keep a nice long spine. And we're just bending as far as feels comfortable, but don't be afraid to bend a little bit deeper. Don't be afraid to space those feet a little bit further apart. We are keeping the feet grounded here. We're going to find this into the hips. Keep working that knee outward, engaging with the hip. We're going to find it into the hamstrings, the quads, but also into those lower legs, and particularly our tibialis as we bend that knee forward. So finding that little stretch. We're going to meet back at center. We're going to bend into both knees, coming into our lovely goddess squat. And again, only bending as deep as feels good for your hips and hamstring. Make sure the bum hasn't popped out behind. So again, tucking the pelvis forward, drawing that belly button in. Nice and stable in the feet. We're going to inhale, straighten the legs, bring the arms out overhead, palms together, gaze goes up. Exhale, hands to heart as we lower into our squat. Inhale, lengthen, reach and rise, gaze follows up. Exhale, hands to heart, gaze goes forward as we lower. And continue with your own breath. Try to draw those arms right back in line with the ears. So we're really engaging with those shoulder muscles. And again, just sink as deeply as feels good. Again, be mindful of those knees that they're not collapsing inward. Consciously and constantly engaging with those hip muscles so that we're stabilizing those knees as we lower into our squat. Looking for space here. So looking for length, height on our inhale and depth on our exhale. We'll take two more. Last one. Meeting in our squat. We're going to bring the hands out front. We're going to walk those feet toward each other until there's about a foot between them. This time we're going to come onto the balls of the feet. Okay, so we're not coming into our low squat quite yet. So heels are off the ground here. We can either keep the fingertips to the ground or we can bring the hands to heart center. So if you want to start with the fingertips, we're going to inhale here. And as we exhale, we're going to drop that left knee down to the ground.
Inhale back to center. Exhale, drop the right knee down. Continue with your own breath. Again, if you want to engage a little bit more with the core, but what you don't want to happen is you take the hands out of it, that you're literally dropping that knee down. So I want you to really control that knee drop. If you find that it's a little bit too much on the knee, you can always place a little cushion out front for it to land to. So again, hands on the ground maybe to start with. Try to achieve the movement. And then when we've mastered the movement, then we can bring those hands to heart center. And it's just a nice slow movement. Go with your own breath here. A little bit noisy with the feet. And you can always pause. We'll pause maybe to the left and just see if you can draw that right knee a little bit further open. Holding it here. And then coming back through center, we'll drop it. And again, pause and just see if we can draw that left knee back a little bit further. So again, a nice little one to explore in your own time. You can spend a lot more time. But for now, we meet back at center. This time we will walk the heels a little bit closer, so again, they're a foot apart. If you can, we're going to drop the heels and sit back into our low squat. Otherwise, you can stay off the heels, still working toward it. Maybe even cushioning under the heels. So again, we can keep the fingertips out front, or we can bring the hands to heart and use those upper arms to open into the knees. Again, try not to collapse forward. So still drawing the belly in, nice long spine. And gaze is slightly forward. So again, nice neutral neck. We're not looking too far forward, but likewise, we're not looking down to the ground. And again, just breathing into that space. One more breath. And then bring those hands forward out in front, lift up the chin and slowly press yourselves all the way up to stand. Head comes up last, nice and easy. Take a little drink if you wish. We're going to flow it out nice and easy for the rest of the class this morning. So there was quite a little bit of engagement with our mobilizers there this morning. So we're just going to flow it out, get a little bit of blood flow and stimulation back into those legs and hips. So when you're ready, meeting at the front, feet nicely grounded, hip width distance apart. Hands to heart, shoulders relaxed. Find that breath and sink it nice and deep down into the belly. We'll inhale both arms out, reaching up, palms together. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, gives forward, hands to shins. Exhale, fold. Stepping, right foot back to lunge, right hand stays grounded. We'll inhale the left arm up and open the heart. Exhale, left hand to the ground. Resting right knee down, cushion it if you need. We'll inhale both arms out, reaching up, palms together. Exhale, hands to heart as we soften into the left hip. Right hand rests on the outer side. We're going to inhale the left arm up. And as we exhale, gently twist to the left, looking back toward that left thumb. Pressing the right hand into the leg, drawing the left shoulder back. We're going to hold it here for 3. Bending into the left knee for 2. And 1, inhale forward out in front. We're going to frame the left foot. Lifting off the right knee, we'll drop the right heel down. Engage the core up into our warrior. Left knee, left foot point forward. We're bending into the left knee. Right foot parallel to the back edge of the mat. Extend the arms out. Palms face the ground. Shoulders relaxed. Draw the belly in. We're going to find that left middle finger with the gaze and follow it. Inhale, straighten the left leg, arms together overhead, gaze is up. Exhale, bend the left knee, warrior lunge. Inhale, lengthen, reach and rise. Exhale, warrior lunge, 2 more. Really pressing the outer blade of that right foot into the ground, drawing those inner thighs toward each other. Last one. Meeting in our warrior, we'll cartwheel both hands down either side of the foot, ball of the right. We're going to shift the body weight forward to lift the right foot up to meet left, and then exhale, fold. Inhale, rolling up through center, hands extended up, palms together. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, gives forward, hands to shin. Exhale, fold. Stepping left foot back to lunge, left hands grounded.
We'll inhale the right arm up and open the heart, gaze follow. Exhale, right hand to the ground, resting left knee down, cushion it if you need. Inhale, both arms out, reach it up, palms together. Exhale, hands to heart as we soften into the hip. Left hand rests on the outer thigh. We're going to inhale the right arm up, and as we exhale, gently twist to the right. We'll bring the right arm behind us, really pressing that right shoulder back, looking back toward the thumb, pressing the left hand into the leg and bending for 3, for 2, and 1. Inhale to the front, hands to heart. We'll frame the right foot. Coming off the left knee, we'll drop the left heel down. Engage the core up into warrior. Extend the arms, palms face down, bending into the right knee, right foot point forward. Right heel bisects the arch of the back foot. Relax the shoulders. Finding that right middle finger, we're going to follow it with a gaze. Inhale, straighten the right leg, arms together overhead, gaze goes up. Exhale, bend the right knee, open the arms, warrior. Inhale, lengthen, reach and rise. Exhale, warrior lunge. 2 more. Last one. Meeting in a warrior, we're going to cartwheel both hands down either side of the right foot, the ball of the left. We'll shift the body weight forward to lift the left foot up to meet right, and then exhale, fold. Inhale, rolling up through center, hands extended up, palms together. Exhale, hands to heart. Take a little drink if you need. We're going to go into a second round with a couple of variations. So when you're ready, meeting at the front. Feet nicely grounded, hip width distance apart. Hands to heart, shoulders relaxed. Find that breath. We'll inhale both arms out, reaching up, palms together. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, gaze forward, hands to shin. Exhale, fold. Stepping right foot back to lunge, right hand's grounded. We'll inhale, left arm up and open the heart. Exhale, left hand to the ground. Right knee on or off the mat, your choice. Inhale, both arms out, reach it up, palms together. Exhale, hands to heart as we soften into the hip. Right hand is on the outer thigh. We'll inhale the left arm up, and as we exhale, rotate to the left, extend the arm behind us. We might even rest the left hand on the back leg. Pressing both hands into the leg, drawing ourselves a wee bit deeper. Or we might inhale the right arm up, and as we exhale, reach the right arm to the back of the room, looking over the shoulder for 3, bending into that left knee for 2, and 1. Inhale, arms back wide open. Exhale, twist to the front, hands to heart. We're going to frame the left foot. Off the knee, we'll drop the right heel down. Engage the core up into warrior. Extend the arms, palms face down. We're going to bend into the left knee. Inhale, straighten the left leg, arms together overhead, gazes up. Exhale, bend the left knee, warrior. Inhale, lengthen, reach and rise. Exhale, warrior lunge. 2 more. Nice and strong. Last one. Meeting in a warrior, we're going to inhale, straighten the leg. Keep them straight as we exhale, reach the fingertips as far forward as we can go. Bring the back of the left hand to the inner leg. Extend the right arm up. So arms are really wide. We're reaching to the ground. We're reaching to the ceiling. Drawing that right shoulder back. Pressing the hips forward. We're looking up for 3. For 2. And 1. Inhale the right arm all the way overhead. Reach. And as we exhale, bring the right hand down to meet left. Inhale, both arms together all the way back up. And as we exhale, bend the left knee, open the arms, warrior. Cartwheel both hands down either side of the left foot to ball of the right. We'll shift the body weight forward to pick the right foot up to meet left, and then exhale, fold. Inhale, rolling up through center, hands extended up, palms together. Last side, exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, gaze forward, hands to shins. Exhale, fold. Stepping left foot back to lunge, left hand's grounded. We'll inhale the right arm up and open the heart. Exhale, right hand to the ground. Left knee on or off the mat, your choice. We're going to inhale both arms out, reaching up, palms together. Exhale, hands to heart as we soften into the hip. Left hand comes to the outer thigh. We're going to inhale the right arm up, and as we exhale, twist to the right. We'll bring the arm behind us, really pressing back through that shoulder, pressing the left hand into the leg. We might rest the right hand on the back of the leg. Again, use that to draw the right shoulder back. Inhale, left arm up. And as we exhale, reach the left arm to the back of the room, looking over the shoulder. That knee can be on or off the ground. If it's off the ground, we're actively pressing through the heel for 3. Relax the breath for 2. And 1. Inhale, arms back wide open. Exhale, twist to the front, hands to heart. We'll frame that right foot. Off the knee, we're going to drop the left heel down, engage the core up into warrior. Extend the arms, palms face down. We'll soften into that right knee. Find that right middle finger. Inhale, straighten the right leg, arms together, overhead, gazes up. Exhale, bend the right knee, warrior. Inhale, lengthen, reach, and rise. Exhale, warrior lunge, 2 more. Last one. Meeting in a warrior, we're going to inhale, straighten the right leg, keep it straight. As we exhale, reach those right fingertips as far forward as we can go. Bring the back of the right hand to the inner leg, extend the left arm up. Pressing the hips forward, drawing the left shoulder back. Again, notice if the left or the bum has popped out behind, even if it means lifting that right hand. I want you to really find that space into the front of the body. Gazes up for 3. For 2. And 1, stay here. Inhale, left arm all the way overhead. Reach, and as we exhale, left hand comes down to meet right. Inhale, both arms together all the way back up. And as we exhale, bend the right knee, open the arms, warrior. Bring both hands down either side of the right foot and ball of the left foot. We shift the body weight forward to lift the left up to meet right. And then exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rolling up through center. Hands extended up, palms together. Exhale, hands to heart. Well done, lovely. We're going to finish with either our wide-legged child's pose or a frog pose. So I'm just going to turn my mat sideways so you can see what I'm at. So we're going to come to the longer edge of our mat. If you find you need a little bit of extra cushioning, you can always roll your mat up into a little spaghetti string. So just for an extra little bit of padding on the knees, you may or may not need that. Likewise, so we're going to come almost like we're setting up for a wide-legged child's pose. We're going to bring those knees as far apart as we can and allow the big toes touch. Notice if it feels a little bit much, particularly if we have a hard surface on the front of the feet. Again, you can always get a little towel and cushion into the front of the feet as well. Our face is going to be out there in a moment. So again, if you want to bring a towel or a cushion out there, you can do that too. So take your time, make the pose as comfortable and as restful as you can. So we're going to start by walking the hands forward just until the hips are in line with the knees. So we're not coming too far forward that we're feeling that kind of really stretch tension into the front, but we're likewise not sitting too far back. So again, you can play around with this, and then when we get there, we can even move those knees out a little bit further. Then we're going to come down on to the forearms and just gently shift the hips forward and back until we find that, oh yeah, that feels good. Okay, so we're finding that nice little sweet spot. And then when we find that sweet spot, we can either stay there or we can walk the hands forward a little bit more, try to sink that chest, resting the forehead to the ground, to a block. Or because we're going to be here for a couple of minutes, sometimes it's nice to make a little pillow by piling one hand or one fist on top of the other. Or you can always rest the head into the hand. So whatever feels good for you. Just find that space. And even here, feel free to rock the hips forward and back. So I don't want you to just feel that you're hanging out and not really feeling that release. So definitely adjust the hips until you feel that release. And if you want to go into your full frog, you can always bring those lower legs out like little frog legs. So we've 90-degree angles at the knees and at the ankles. But just make sure the feet are rested on the ground. And if they're not, just bring them closer back toward each other. So that's our full pose. If it's too intense on the hips, Feel free to sit back toward the heels all the way and come into a nice wide-legged child's pose. So we're going to stay here for 2 minutes this morning. So I want you to find the space that you feel that you're releasing into as opposed to holding. And when you find that space, then we're just going to focus in on our breath. As we inhale, create a nice bit of space into the belly, moving it into the rib cage, into the chest. And as you exhale, release and let it go. And feel free to sigh that breath out. Relax the feet. Relax the lower legs. Relax the hands and wrists. So notice if we're tensing or we're gripping. Softening the shoulders, melting the chest. If we can, even resting the chest to the ground. Melting the belly. Notice if we're feeling excess pressure in the lower back. Just gently draw the belly in. Maybe adjust those hips back a little bit until we can minimize that tension. And particularly focusing on that exhale, trying to engage the core to press every little bit of stale air and energy out of the body. Breathing into that hip space. Just a couple of more breaths here. And notice as we breathe a little bit deeper into the belly, we're going to find that release into the hips. And again, if this is a space that you're really enjoying being in, you can always stay here or come back into this space. So even from a mental point of view, this can create a lovely release within the body. So if we have come into our full frog, the first thing I'm going to invite you to do is just bend the knees so we can bring those feet a little bit closer, just so we're taking the intensity out of the pose. And then for everybody, we're going to slowly come up onto the forearms, and then we're going to transfer the weight of the body into the forearms and off the hips. So there should be no pressure on the hips here. And then we're going to walk those knees a little bit closer until we can at least get the big toes to touch. And then really slowly, we're going to walk the hands back toward the knees until we're sitting all the way back up onto the heels. And just gently shift the hips side to side, particularly if you have gone quite deep. I want you to be really mindful coming out of this pose. And then when you feel good and ready, we're going to find ourselves into any seat at all that feels comfortable, facing the front of our room. So coming back to where we started, sometimes after our happy hip sequence or our class, it's nice to come back into easy cross-legged just to notice if you do feel any different. Wherever we are, I'm going to rest the palms on the knees, relax the shoulders back, lengthen a little bit taller into the spine, noticing how those hips are, noticing how that heart feels, and we'll open the palms to the ceiling to get a little bit more energy for the day. We're going to inhale both arms out, reach it up, interlock fingers, press palms to ceiling. As we exhale, press the palms forward, release the breath, fly it out and let it go. We'll do that twice more. Gently bring the hands to heart, press the palms together, close down the eyes, and just thank yourself for creating a wee bit of space in your morning to come to the mat, to look after yourself, to create some lovely strength, stability, and release, and hopefully take that with you into the day and into the rest of the week ahead. Thank you for sharing your practice and your energy with me. Namaste.